Hey there. Rebecca and I moved to Indiana in 2014. Prior to that, we lived in Maryland, out on the East Coast. And I'll tell you, cost of living in Maryland was crazy. About 2006, 2007, Rebecca had left work. Our son had been born in 2005. And she had left work, and we were struggling pretty tightly. It seemed like every time we got some kind of windfall, every time something came through, something broke. Need a new head gasket on the car, we need a new water heater. All kinds of things were just happening, and it felt like we just couldn't catch a break. At one point, we got a check, a mortgage escrow refund, which meant they had taken a little bit too much money and they didn't need it all to pay the taxes for $212. And Rebecca and I looked at the check and laughed and thought, well, I know something's about to break. So we didn't spend the money on anything, and sure enough, 2 days later, I was driving home and I nearly ran off the road because we'd had an ice storm, and I knew then that the bald tires I had on my truck weren't gonna cut it anymore. So I went as soon as I could, and we found out how much a new set of tires are gonna cost. $212. And it hit us. And Rebecca and I both that night fell down on our knees praying because we realized something. This whole time we had been talking about how every time money showed up, it seemed like something broke. It seemed like we couldn't get ahead, but we had it backwards. God had sent us a check for $212 right before we needed $212. And as we look at God's provision, God exists outside of time. And many times in my life, I can look back now and see that He provided for my need before I even knew that I had it. David wrote in Psalm 34, verses 9 and 10, "Oh, fear the Lord, you His saints, for those who fear Him have no lack. The young lions suffer want and hunger, but those who seek the Lord lack no good thing." We weren't lacking any good thing. We were lacking in a lot of things we wanted. We were lacking in some of the freedoms we wanted to feel, but we lacked in no good thing. Later on, Paul would write in his second letter to the Corinthian church in 2 Corinthians 9, verse 8, he said, "And God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work." You see, sometimes we get the perspective backwards. And it's time for us to look at all the times. Take a moment today and look at the times that God has met your needs, and He's met them sometimes before you even knew you have them.